Hey, everybody, we've made it to the holiday season, and as always, we're trying to bring you some of the coolest gift ideas for you and your family, things that are actually going to get you better while having fun, and things you can use anytime, anywhere. And as you know, our title sponsor, NHL Sense Arena, has just released NHL Sense Arena 26, the new season. It's here, and it's the most complete off-ice training system ever built. Again, players and goalies can train with real NHL players now inside the app. Jumping into 3v3 full season games, you can build your own team rosters, collect player profiles. It's a really fun and realistic VR hockey experience. And remember, we talked about this too. You've seen myself use it and my son. The new Dangle Pro stick handling mode. I'm not going to lie to you. This is something I wish I had as a kid. It's really cool. You use a real stick and a real puck, and your head is up. You can do it in your living room, in your garage, wherever you want to do it. And then for goalies, the all-new Game Flow mode delivers non-stop shots from real shooters from programs like UConn, BU, the U.S. National Development Program, Little Caesars, and they have AI players keeping rebounds in play for 3 full periods of a game. It's amazing. Again, we put some videos out already of us using that. You got to check it out. Again, annual memberships right now are 50% off for the holidays. That's the best deal you're going to get, starting at just $29 a month. And you can save an extra $25 if you use our code OKPH at checkout. Again, that's OKPH at checkout at hockey.sensearena.com/OKPH. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's a great tool to train your kids. And I'm not going to lie, you're going to jump into it as well if you're a parent or a coach or someone who loves this game. Now let's get you into something else you love, this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome to another episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. I'm Elias, joined by Mike Bonelli. Christy Casciano Burns is on assignment today. You know, mental fitness is one of the most popular topics on our show. It is by far the most listened to and the most requested subject by you, the audience. And because of that, we're bringing you 2 guests today who can help take that conversation from theory to practice and give you actionable steps to bring it to your club or your family. We all know it's important. If you listen to this show, we know you believe in it, but we want to start doing more than just acknowledging it exists. So joining us from Sweden, which is across the ocean if you're in America or North America, are Henrik Cronebäck and Dr. Johan Fallby, the founders of PlayWellMinds, a science-backed mental training platform that helps young athletes build focus, confidence, and emotional balance through short, structured routines. Parents listening, all of you want that. Their work is already being used by schools, clubs, and sports organizations across Europe, and it's quickly becoming a model for what daily mental training could look like for athletes in every sport, including our beloved game of ice hockey. So today we're not talking why mental fitness matters. We're talking about how to actually train it, measure it, and build it into your season like you would skating or shooting on the ice, doing all these clinics that you do. We're going to get into that today. Henrik, Johan, welcome to Our Kids Play Hockey.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you guys.
glad to be here.
We are glad to have you. I'm going to tell you this right now. Our audience is going to love those accents. I know I have an accent to you, but there's something about that cadence. It makes you sound great. It makes you sound smart. But let's jump here, guys. Henrik, Johan, you built PlayWellMinds on the idea that mental fitness should be as routine as practice. That's something we talk about. You have to work out the mind. What was the gap that you saw? What triggered this in youth sports that made you realize it was time to do something about it, not just talk about it?
Yeah, I can start. So I have 2 girls, born 2010, twins. And everything started 3 years ago when they were 12. And I had an idea that, could we teach them, and when I say them, actually the whole team that I was coaching, in something called floorball, which is kind of an indoor hockey type of thing that we play here over in Europe. It's a plastic ball and a plastic stick, 5 against 5, goalie and everything. I mean, you might have seen it.
Oh, I've played it.
Oh, you played it? Fantastic.
Great.
Very similar but different than hockey. A lot of people try and play hockey, and it's no, it's a perimeter game, and you really got to know your sport. I will say this, though, for all the hockey parents listening, I believe a floorball stick and a floorball are the best trainer for hands, quick hands, over anything. But that is a totally different episode. I will let you get back to your point.
That was a good point. So I had an idea that, can you train mental strength in the same way as you train the technical skills, the physio skills and stuff like that. So I was looking for something for teens and had the idea that it needs to be a little bit fun, a little bit inspirational, and we need to do it over time with repetition, because if we want to learn something, it needs to be over time with repetition. So was out there looking for, different apps, different books, different programs. Didn't really find anything that was suitable, so I decided to read a number of books. Actually, growth mindset, stuff like that, and then sports psychology, and put together my own program for this team. Presentations, living room, gave them pen and paper, and we met once a month over 7 months. And I was thinking, now I have done my thing. Hopefully they have learned something, check in the box, go back to be just a normal coach. What happened then was they said, actually, this was not only fun, but also helped both on the pitch, on the field when they were playing, but also in school. So they said, we want to continue. Can we have this as an ongoing thing, part of our training? And I felt like, yes, thumbs up, something works here. Do I have the time? No, I don't have the time. Something must exist. So I actually went out and started looking again for solutions. This was summer 23 and didn't find anything. And then I spoke with colleagues across actually the globe, been part of international companies. But everyone said that, Henrik, if you find something, could you let me know? Because my son or my daughter, the team, our class, it would be fantastic if they could use something like this. So after summer 23, I thought, is this maybe something that I should work with? Because I love sports, I love mental strength, and I love to work with young teenagers. But was clever enough to understand that I actually don't know so much about the area. I probably need someone who's an expert. And then I found Johan Fallby, sports psychologist, and we started to discuss this during winter 23-24, together also with another psychologist, clinic psychologist, Lisa, also from Sweden. And started to explore and work on something. And again, we have the idea from the beginning that to be able to get these target group, which are, a fantastic group of people that want to be sports athletes. How do we make it something that they do every day? How do you make mental strength, mental fitness to be part of the daily habit? That was the key thing. So we worked on a number of different topics and ideas, and it ended up being an app with a program for teens. And we're kind of saying, like, think Duolingo, but for mental strength. How to make it a little bit fun and inspirational and do it a little bit every day, over time. So that's the background.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, based off of you're reaching out, Johan, to you, right, as the professional in the industry and working with all these pro players. As I'm hearing, the evolution of the program. It's almost like you want to the pro players, for the most part, right, have already found the tools in a lot of ways to get them where they are, right? So to bring this back down to the youth level and give them the guidance. Can you talk a little bit about the influence of the pro side of the athletes you work with, and how you interjected that into the youth focus on the app and the program?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've been working for 25 years with pro athletes in mainly in soccer, but in lots of other sports. Ice hockey, obviously, as well. It's a great sport in Sweden. But I think lots of young athletes, young people, they are not encountering psychology in the right way in a young age. It's about problems, it's about illness, it's about not feeling well. But the pro athletes, they also find how to work with the positive side of it, and also they have the tools, as you say, to work with it. They get nervous all the time, even though they have the tools, but they have the right perspective, or they have a perspective that suits them, that they have been practicing on for many years. So the thing is that if we can teach the kids earlier on to have a view on psychology and on themselves, and make them self-aware earlier, then they will have more time to teach themselves and be taught by the networks around them, the grown-ups around them, so that they can handle these tough situations, not only in sport but also in life. So we are just taking like the systematic way of looking at psychology, and also the positive sides of psychology, putting it in the right perspective for the kids. So, and what was amazing when I met Henrik is that I've been approached so many times by different people and organizations trying to do this before, and it's been too complicated and too much focus on, you have to do this, you have to learn, you can't get nervous and so on. But we are using the CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy, as a standing point or ground for this, and that makes it makes it more look like regular training, technical or tactical training, and something that you can do on the pitch or on the ice or in the dressing room. So we're just putting it out in the right perspective and making it interesting and fun for the kids, I think.
Yeah, you said something a little earlier that I think resonates with me and certainly Lee, right, as a hockey coach, and that is, approaching this from the perspective of not reactionary, like you're getting ahead of this, training the athletes to be in this mindset that's not like, oh my God, there's a problem, I'm not mentally fit, I'm weak and I'm nervous, but then by that time you have a lot more building to do, I'm imagining. Than to proactively grab an athlete. Just like if I want to have a power skater and a great shooter and somebody with great hockey IQ, I can't go to them after the fact that they have all these other learned behaviors and unteach them those skills. I think is that really the premise of getting. I know, like Henrik, I know that based off of my own research, right, and seeing the app, it's really based off that teenage years. Again, obviously you could start younger, and I'm sure it helps with older, but those teenage years are really the sweet spot of when we're working with the most athletes we have. Can you talk a little bit about how important it is to be proactively looking at this and not presenting it in a negative way, but actually in a very positive way?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Johan.
I just have to say it's so fun working as a sports psychologist. Coming towards the end of the season is always very profitable, because then the teams will be calling you, we need help, we have to win the championships, can you please come now? And they think you have a magic wand or something, but it doesn't work like that, as
Not
you
at
say,
all.
Mike, because no, you have to work at long term, and then starting at young age, then you will get ahead, I think, and I also think that people will have. They will use this all their life. The methods, the way of thinking, changing perspectives, and the psychological flexibility. I think it's like any other thing. You have to learn it. I mean, you can't start skating. It's the playoffs. Let's start skating now. Let's train some skating. It's impossible. Sorry, Henrik, I interrupted.
No, but you are spot on. I mean, and that's the whole thing. Because the thing is also that mental health, if you say mental health to them, they think it's about problem. I'm feeling nervous, I shouldn't feel nervous, and stuff like that. So one of the first things we do when we work with these young adults and teens is, feelings and thoughts will always be there. I mean, that's number one. It doesn't matter if you are me in this podcast, or if you are a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 17-year-old. Feelings and thoughts, you will always have them. What you learn is how to handle them and how to work out, the situation that you have in front of you in the best possible way. That's mental strength. And I think just understanding that piece as a teen is like a relief a little bit. It's like, whoa, So you say that this is kind of normal, because when you get like 12, 13, 14, and the brain starts to develop really to be an adult, and it does that for a number of years ahead, that's when you start to really think that you are the only one having these feelings. I'm the only one nervous in the dressing room. I'm the only one nervous going to play this game. No, you're not. Everyone has these kind of feelings, and actually they will stay forever. You will learn how to handle them, and that's what we try to do in this age. So. And again, we know also that if we can learn them these type of things, or at least introduce them to these type of things in this age, hopefully actually will stay for the rest of their life. The things you learn around 13 to 17, 18 will be things that you actually remember. That's why I started with mental strength for my own twins. I read a book when I was 15 that I got from my father about mental strength that, I remembered. So I wanted to do kind of something for my own kids, for my own team.
Henrik, I love that you're bringing this up because, I actually want to give a shout out to my father. I was very blessed. My father got an early retirement right at that age for me, right? 13, 14. So we spent a lot of time together, a lot of car rides. Now, I got to preface it. I'm in no way perfect or anything like that, but I benefited so much from the conversations he would have with me in the car, at home, because he was going through his own little mental fitness journey at that time, and just sharing with me what he was learning. And, now in my 40s, I look back and I realize, wow, that was, not only was I a sponge at that age, I was really taking it in. And parents, I might not have always looked like I was taking it in. I think that's also an important thing. Sometimes we think the kids aren't listening, but they're retaining more than you probably think they are. They're giving it to other people, not back to you, right? but those years, and it really is such a short amount of time, are so important. And look, parents play a role, coaches play a role, teammates play a role. Johan, you made a great point. I was working with a pro team in England one year, and we had this. I won't tell the whole story, but we had a very dramatic championship. It was amazing. We weren't picked to win, and I remember someone asking us, what did you do before the playoffs to prepare? I go, before the play, we were doing this stuff for preseason. We were doing mental fitness training camps in preseason to prepare for this. And when people start to hear that and realize that, it's real eye opener. I want to say this too, Henry, going back to the first question. It's funny how the place we're at with mental fitness, I like to use the word mental fitness because I think there's an understanding of that, right? Long time ago, there was a guy named Lloyd Percival, a little hockey history here for everybody. And he wrote the Hockey Training Handbook, right? And when you look at this training handbook today, it's all the physical stuff you need to do for training for hockey. And if you read that now in late 2025, it looks like the most basic, obvious things to do, right? Like you got to work on your skating if you want to be better at hockey, right? But when this book came out, every elite coach around the world was writing him letters. Please send me a copy of your book, because no one had ever done it before. So all these things now, you could really trace that, at least that point, back to Lloyd Percival. Everything we do now, almost 100 years ago, kind of stemmed from someone writing the book of what we deem obvious. I feel like we are so at that point right now with mental fitness, where people go, we need this, but I don't know where to start. So you guys made PlayWellMinds. Like, I would love for you to share with the audience some of those tactics that you use, or just at least a broad overview of, hey, here's the things we're looking at. Because in 100 years, when people listen to this podcast again, they're going to be like, that's PlayWellMinds 100 years ago started this book. I'll throw it back to you guys. Henrik, I'll start with you.
No, but I think kind of spot on, because it's not like we have came up with new techniques or new things. We have taken what exists from an evidence and research perspective. So we know that this kind of works. We just took them and packaged them so that it actually works for this group, for the teenagers, and make it, again, fun, inspirational. So it takes you through a 7-step program, everything from just calm and mindfulness. How do you tell a 14-year-old that, now we're going to talk about breathing and why that's important? And they will just go back and say, I've been breathing since I was born. What are you going to tell me about this that is relevant, and stuff like that? So exercise around that and give some examples from, so for example, when we work with the ice hockey, NHL players or Swedish players, talking about the importance of working with the breathing when you are nervous or or depressed or really, angry, whatever it could be. We're on the bench and the referee did something terrible and you are just super angry. Just start with breathing to get calmed down. Then we work with acceptance and situations, which is CBT, where the foundation of this is. So accept doesn't mean that you like it.
Mm-hmm.
It means that we don't judge it. We just work with the thought that is coming to you. And by accepting, it actually means that we actually don't pay so much attention and work with it. We can get back to focus and behavior. Then we go into goals. We talk about performance and behavior goals instead of just talking about the outcome result goals. Outcome and results we all know about. It's everything from grades in school to winning a game or whatever it is. But if we focus on the process, the performance in an interesting way, we think, and we actually know that they will probably stay longer in the sports because they're focusing on themselves and what they can do and what they can impact. Then we talk about evaluation. How do we evaluate the game? We are expert on saying to ourselves that we didn't do this, we didn't do this, we didn't do this, and we missed there, and all the things that is negative. Here we help them to understand that that's fine. The negative part or the developing parts is helping you forward, but let's just get some energy on the things that actually work quite well this game. And then we talk about celebration. How do we celebrate? I don't know how it is in your area, but where I come from, if we lose a game, then it's like 20 minutes in the locker room and discussing why we lost the game. If we win the game, then it's like 1 minute, applaud, see you on Tuesday, next game. Yeah. We need to stop and actually think about, we won the game. What would you do? Well-being, build up your, confidence. We did great things, stop and be in that moment for some time. A number of different tools. But I think the key piece is how do you get them out to the teens in a fun, inspirational way? So a lot of exercises, a lot of things in an app so they can do things on their, when they're home, in the car, and work with this and get it to be, again, a fun habit. And then to make it a fun habit, we need to put in some gamification. So streaks agree. And stuff like that, and medals and collect stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I think adults roll their eyes at that. We need gamification too. We use that everybody uses gamification all the time. Yeah. It just makes it a little easier to go. But I love all the stuff that you're saying, man, because it is so important that we incorporate this as coaches into our curriculum. Another point you made about feelings. And I always like to tell coaches that one of the most powerful questions you can ask an athlete is tell me what you're feeling right now and get them to acknowledge or at least just shout out, I'm angry, whatever it is. And Henrik, you alluded to this. As soon as you shout out what you're feeling or call it out, you almost immediately will get control over it, right? It's when it's hijacking your mind that it becomes so hard for especially children. They might not even know what they're feeling. They might not even be aware of it. So what are you feeling right now is a very powerful question to be asking those kids. And I also love what you said about, the congregation, I call it, after games, of just focusing on what we did wrong, opposed to focusing on the game as a whole, right? Yeah. And I think, again, coaches, you can do this. You can dive into this, focus on feelings a little bit more. It's a powerful tool because last thing I'll say, and I'll throw it to Mike for the next question, is that you can't understand positive feelings if you don't experience negative feelings. You got to think about it. You wouldn't even know they're positive if you don't know what negative it is. You can't have light without dark, right? And I think that the last 30 years has been, don't feel that way. Don't feel that way. That is the worst thing you can say to a kid.
100%. And it's impossible.
Yeah.
We are human beings. We will have negative feelings.
Right.
It's part of our brain. That's how we work.
Right.
So unfortunately,
as part of having the podcast, we get the opportunity to have some free therapy here, Johan. And I was hoping, we could talk a little bit about, you talked earlier, like we all know that there's going to be stress, right? We know that there's stress in everything we're doing for the players. And what we want to be able to do is like talk to parents, coaches, and players on how to deal with that stress, in a positive or a negative way, acknowledging it, like Lee just said. But what are some of the signs we can see that like there's a positive stress, right? We want that competition stress, but then there's a, oh, I hate being here now, like I don't want to be here anymore, burnout, stress.
Yeah.
Like where can we see on that line, and maybe a little talk about your program and how maybe it helps coaches and players identify that.
Yeah, that's a really $10,000 question because we are all different. So you have your way of dealing with this, and I have my way. And another thing that's really difficult as well is that you think that you can see if people are nervous or not. With some people you can, but some people are really good to hide it, so you don't really know where they are. So maybe the guy that's bouncing around in the dressing room, talking to everybody, he could be the most nervous one, or the other one sitting just in the corner, he could be the most nervous one. So it's actually about getting to know yourself. And also I love that. I mean, you have to acknowledge the feelings and thoughts you have, and not only asking how you're feeling right now. The next question is acknowledging that feeling. Okay, I can
Right.
see you're sad. I understand you're sad. It's normal to be sad or happy. I can, whatever feeling you have, acknowledge it and discuss it, and be with the players with their feelings and thoughts, and start to make them interested in why they're feeling this way, why they are thinking in this way. And then you can start to talk about it in the team together with each other. And I think it's a wonderful thing. I mean, I've worked with the Olympic athletes and NHL players or elite athletes in different sports, and it's wonderful to see a room where they're talking about how they feel, and they are actually nervous and they feel scared, and they just want to run away. It's 5-5. We have to win. It's sudden death. I mean, we really need to perform our best now, and I just don't want to be here. So as soon as you start to do that, you can also uh, lower the threshold of that negative anxiety as you're talking about. I mean, you don't need to be negatively affected by the stress. It can also be a force with you, and
Right.
if you understand why you get this stress and how it looks for you, then you can also change perspective and then work with it. And that's what the elite athletes do.
Yes.
And they found their way, but we also know that some elite athletes never find their way. I mean, they are getting through years and years of anxiety disorder, and then after they quit, they can go out and say, I was a mess for 10 years. Winning that gold medal was terrible, but I made it. But now I'm so relieved it's over. So it's about individual work and talking to each other, acknowledging. And I think you said some great things about, I did some writing here, but the network, the adults talking about this, acknowledging, asking, being interested, and also letting the teens start to speak with each other and understand I'm not alone. I can, yeah.
I just want to follow up on one thing, because I
Yeah.
think, because from our perspective, I mean, being on the show and having so many great guests and really working with elite of the elite, like the best athletes in the world, come on and talk. And all too often, and I guess this is something probably we have to go to a different show on, but it seems like they all had like these anxiety, this stress, this feeling that it wasn't like I can't reach the top, and they do. They're gold medalists, Stanley Cup champions, PWHL champions, and then we look at it and go, well, maybe that is part of being a champion. Maybe that is like that. But I think it's the same thing when we look and say, oh, that one, like I watched 700 kids try out, and the one kid made it. And we all say, well, that's the one kid I want to emulate. And I think is that kind of the same feeling? Like there's a lot of like the athletes you'll run into who win an Olympic gold medal. The feeling shouldn't be, oh, that's a relief that this is out of my world now. Like I'm so glad I don't have to deal with the fame and the fortune and the accolades of being a champion, because that's not the norm, right?
No.
Okay.
That's true. But I just going back a little bit. I mean, I'm working in Modo. Maybe that's familiar with you, Modo in Sweden. Peter Forsberg and the Sandin twins and so on. And we're actually working with a playbook now. We're thinking of introducing not only how to play the puck and score some goals in the playbook, but also having leadership, for example, in the playbook. And that's
great.
individual leadership for the players, but also for the coaches, and also mental skills and also others. How are we building the environment that will create our way of playing. So it goes hand in hand. And I think we have to go back to those building those performance environments, and then start teaching in the talent department, start teaching these skills alongside with other skills like leadership, for example. So if you start earlier, we give them a greater chance of reaching that gold medal somewhere in the future.
I'm writing my own notes down here too, guys, and a few notes.
Fantastic conversation, I have to say.
Yeah, no, that's how you know it's good. There are one of the coolest things to watch and experience is a high-level professional athlete at the moment of the most stress, whatever that is, completely get control of that nervous side of their mind. And I don't want to say move it aside, but they get control and they are able to kind of eliminate that from their psyche for a moment to execute. And when you meet someone like this, you realize this is something they work on more often than not. Now, I'll make myself vulnerable for the audience a little bit here too, right? I coach at some pretty high levels. And I've always said that if you don't think that there are voices in my head from time to time going, what are you doing here? Why do you don't belong here? I still hear those all the time, but I have worked to recognize them, kind of acknowledge them. That's the right word. I acknowledge that I'm hearing them. And then I tell them to screw off, basically. That's kind of my mental process. It took a long time to practice that so that I could focus on what's important. The other thing, too, this is another thing I tell kids. When we talk about feelings, well, I'm nervous. This is a big moment. You know what I say back to them? That's great. You're nervous because you care. All right. Yeah. In fact, if you weren't nervous in the gold medal game, championship game in overtime, that would be a little weird to me, right? It would be a little off. You'd be off for not having those feelings right now, but you're nervous because you care. How great is that? Now we've turned it into something else, right? I also wrote this too, and I'm going to give a great example. I've got a young goaltender in my program right now. She just turned 14, and we were in a very high stakes game recently. She played the semifinal to get us to the final. I did not play her in the final, and we had this tremendous conversation after the game in which she didn't play because we're trying to help her grow, right? We're trying to help her become the best goalie she can be. And I said, you felt all the feelings. This is what we talked about of that championship game, even though you were not in the net that game. And I said, you can never discount that experience because the next time you are in the game, you will have experienced those emotions. You know what's coming your way. And now we can start to work and build on them. And Mike knows her. She's so mature that she was like, wow, that's an amazing thought. Now I do understand that I've experienced the emotion. I trained the emotional side of it for her because we want her to be in the big games eventually, right? At her age right now, we're not there yet, right? But we're emotionally, mentally training these kids. It's not just her. I have other young athletes on these teams as well. But I just wrote that down that this is something that can be unlocked. We talked about gamification. I was like telling kids, hey, new emotion unlocked. Great. All right. You're feeling apprehension. That's amazing. Right. And it can be fascinating, right? How fascinating that you're feeling this way. So this leads me into my next question. Right. And I'm going to talk directly to the parents. I want us all to talk to the parents. Parents have to understand your kids are aware of mental fitness, mental health, mental strength, more aware than any generation in the history of mankind. Okay. For those of you who love the tough love approach or the I've got to break them down to build them up, I won't go into the psychological problems that caused throughout human history. But what I'm trying to bring up now is this: because the children are aware, that tactic in its extreme form has now the opposite effect that it used to have. I know that, look, if you grew up during the war or wars, look, stiff upper lip, tough times. I am not negating that. When you got to put food on the table, when life is hard, you have got to persevere. I acknowledge that. But you are dealing with a generation of kids who know that this exists. That tactic does not work. They're finding now that positive emotional reinforcement does work. And we have to stop saying, that's being soft. You're being soft by acknowledging feelings. There is a way to do this, all right? There's also an extreme the other way where you cannot be, are you feeling upset? Let's always, you can't do that either. You got to find the balance line, right? And so what I want to talk about here is what parents can do. parents, you'll learn a lot about this, by the way, a lot about yourself in this practice as well. But that approach as a parent, and the last thing I'll say, Michael laughed at this, we'll all laugh at this, keeping in mind that your kids will also always listen to the other parents and the other coaches more than they'll listen to you, because it does take 100%. A village to do this. What are the things the parents can do to help their kids emotionally regulate, build mental fitness? The PlayWellMinds approach. And Henrik, we'll start with you because we're going back and forth.
Sorry, I need to put this to Johan because this is Johan's expertise. He's written books about this.
Dr. Fallby will go to you. No,
exactly. This is his home run for him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's lots of popping up in my head. So there's so many.
How many hours
I wrote
do you guys
a book
have?
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Go read the book.
Gonna be a sequel.
Go read the book.
There's going to be a sequel. No, I wrote a book. I wrote a book called "Do It Better Yourself If You Can." I wrote that a couple of years ago, and it's actually something I said to my father when I was playing table tennis. I played table tennis at I was ranked top 100. Last century it was, so it's a long time ago. But when I was young,
let me write down never to play you on table tennis real quick. All right, go ahead. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, but I was playing. I was maybe 8 years old, and I was playing and losing the first set in the game. And my father came down to the table to give me some advice, and he gave me 100 advice in 2 seconds. I just gave him my racket and said, "Okay, do it better yourself if you can." Mm-hmm. And then my father, I don't remember that episode actually, but my father told me this, and then I wrote the book, and that was a perfect title for the book, because I think sports is a fantastic stage for kids to grow, because there are rules, there are grown-ups, there are training, there are teams, groups. There's so many things that you can learn there, and where you can try your wings, so to speak, without the parents being present, just sitting there observing, not getting into the situation, because it's a fantastic situation to be for the kid to prove that they can develop and try things. So I normally say that, it's really important that you're there, that you're present as a parent, watching that the environment is sound and good, and that the coaches are treating the kids well, and they are, it's a good team, it's a group with the kids. But just be there, be present, but don't take over, because it's actually the kid that will have his or her own career, so to speak, or development within this fantastic environment when you find a good sporting environment. So I think that's the best advice you can get as a parent. Be there, check it's safe, and then let your kid develop there. And then, as we said before, ask questions, encourage, be there asking, how are you feeling? I can see you're sad. It's okay to be sad. I love when you're happy. I enjoy every second when you're happy. Just be there reinforcing and be around, check everything is okay. And then don't be present all the time. Nowadays in Sweden, they actually send, in different apps, they send games for 10-year-olds so everybody can watch them. And I think that's sad, because kids think, okay, all my friends in school can see this championship game or this game. I have to perform, or what if I stumble, or if I, miss something, if I perform, terrible, what will happen in school tomorrow? And it will take away all the joy and also the chance of being developing and being in this fantastic environment where you really can try things.
It is
that's
a
my
challenge.
answer to a very complex question, but be there, but don't take over. Just
Mike, real quick, I don't think that's a bad answer, Johan. Like I said, less is more in this environment. We always say, Mike, I'll throw it right back to you. We always say the ROI on youth sports is your kid's going to develop into a human being. And that's really got to be it for the first, several years of the journey. It's a vehicle for your growth as a human being. If you're putting pressure anything beyond that, and I will say this is my opinion, I believe you are making a mistake. All right, and you cannot take the joy out of the game. And parents and coaches are the biggest threat to doing that. It's not the kids. The kids are going to play. All right. And again, I'm not pointing a finger at you parents or coaches directly. I'm just trying to make you aware we are the biggest threat to that, to having the kids grow and use it as a vehicle. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't know when it happened, but it happened, right? That like, I don't remember my father ever being at one of my practices ever. Like, I think he'd be like, why would I go to your practice? Like, I don't want to see that.
Stuff to do.
Like, I got stuff to do. Or, maybe I'll make a game or two. Maybe I'll try to make a game. How'd you do last night? How was your game yesterday? Like, and now you're looked at as a parent, if you're not at practice on the glass, and if you're not, active in the game, they almost look at you like you don't care, or there's something wrong with you.
I think that person's a genius. I tell them, man, you got it right. I'm just kidding, parents.
Right. But it's a unique thing to know. Like, and I think Johan, you mentioned it too, is that the world of everything the kids do now is on camera. Every skill that they have is on camera. Everything they do that's just great, or like, I always feel bad, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's from my own upbringing. Who knows? I'll get my therapist to figure that out. But like, when I see a championship and I see somebody score, I always gravitate towards the goalie with his head down, the one that got scored on, and the defenseman that got beat on a horrific play. Like, you watch the player just get lit up, and you're like, oh my God, that person now has to live with the same regret as the person that gets to live with the greatness of what they did forever and ever now. Like, on film forever. And you only ever used to see that at the pro level, but now you're seeing it with 13-year-olds and 12-year-olds for the rest of their life. They have to see that kind of a play. But so one of the things that attracted them. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Henrik. Did you have a comment on it?
No, I just want to say, I mean, that's so right, what you said there, because I think that's also one of the reasons why this this group, these teens, these adolescents really want to learn this, because they feel all this, back to what you said, Lee, before, that they know about this. They know that this is something that puts pressure on them. And that's why I think they are so interested also to learn about how can I, what kind of tools exist to start to handle these type of things that I feel or think, stuff like that. So I just wanted to add that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think,
Mike, hold on. Just sorry. I Henrik, you just made me think something interesting. Mike, I'm sorry. You know when I interrupt you, I usually got something. Here's one for you, and I'm actually putting this out there to see if anybody can negate what I'm saying. There are plenty of stats to show what doesn't work. There are no stats that show that a good mental fitness education doesn't work. There's no stats that show that. Every stat shows that this practice is a positive for the future for anyone at any age that does it. Parents, you want something to do. Coaches, you want something that works. There's no stat against what we're saying. No. There are plenty of 100%. Stats against you telling a kid that they suck, that does not work anymore. Just got to say
that. Exactly. And that was, again, I wasn't planning to build something like this together with you on a team. I was looking for something like this because, again, everyone was saying, if you find something, let me know. Because everyone knows that this actually will work. Right. But, for some reason, no one had really put it together.
Right. And Henrik, I guess this too, to the coach's credit, right? I really believe this. Most coaches understand there's a need for this now. All right. But they most of them do not understand how to do it. And I that's okay, because just the acknowledgement of, okay, I really need to put this in my curriculum from a mental health standpoint, that is a massive step forward in terms of just humanity and sports. Right. Now, I will say this to coaches, right? There's so much ability to learn how to do this. If you're serious about coaching, you will be serious about getting this practice into your curriculum, and you play a role in educating yourself in that. But also things like PlayWellMinds, like these things exist. You know what I mean? Mike knows this. I do a lot of work in this field, right? You should be jumping at every book, every opportunity to learn about this. And here's the funny part: coaches, parents, everybody, you will benefit from it more than you ever thought possible. Ever. It will affect you in every aspect of your life. We're talking about youth hockey on this show. This is a everything though topic. Okay.
It's a life tool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get off my soapbox real quick. I'll shoot over. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, but I think that segues into what PlayWellMinds, and one of the things that attracted me to find out more about the app and the program and the 7-week steps and everything is that it's a team-wide approach. I mean, we could talk a little like an individual player. You can see they have they need help in a certain aspect of their game, and they can go see a person. But how does that? It's almost like a private lesson. Like, I can certainly go help a kid stick handle, but then how does that help the team? Like, how does what I'm presenting to the player individually help the fact that we're on a team? Because the team is the one that has to perform, not just me. And can you talk a little bit about, the individual approach, Henrik, on it's a team-wide approach. The players, the athletes get to reflect on this individually. Maybe talk about the inner workings of how, like, the facilitator, the player, the coach kind of all work together to have the same messaging, but they have the opportunity to kind of find their own path individually. But it all comes back to building a better culture, building better communication portals, build more accountability for the player that ultimately helps the team.
No, exactly. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. So when you learn the technical skills, you learn how to handle the club and stuff like that. You teach everyone in the team how to do it. And then they go into training and they practice when they're playing, and they might train outside of practice on their own and stuff like that. So kind of the same thing here, that, what kind of tools exist that we as a team can learn. And again, we don't learn them because we have problem. We learn them because we want to play hockey. It's just one part of playing hockey. So we learn the tools together with the coach. We make sure the parents understand what we have learned in these sessions, so they can also get the same kind of learnings. And then when they are home alone, they can do some small practices in the app. And that's when they do it individually. And then they meet again the week after. We learn together, we discuss together, and we realize that I'm not the only one thinking like this or having these type of thoughts. Oh, you also have that kind of thoughts. And suddenly it was not actually, it was normal that we act like that. And then we can start to discuss. And suddenly, I don't really pay so much attention to it because it's, everyone had it. And then, I was not the only one. And then it kind of disappears. So team, coach, everyone together, learn, practice, discuss, go home, do some exercises in the app in the evenings, in the mornings, meet again, and it's kind of back and forward. So, 7 weeks, I think that's a good starting period. But then I have to say that it's like everything. You need to continue and keep this alive. And that's why I think, again, back to the coaches out there, this is just, part of your weekly training. In the same way you do your strength part, you do your skills part, you do your technique part, whatever it is, it's just one part of training.
Yeah, and it's so easy to incorporate. That's another thing too. I think a lot of coaches think, well, it's an off ice thing. And look, a lot of the stuff I do in terms of team building is off the ice, but it's so easy before a drill on the ice. Coaches listening, like, this is something you can do. This drill may make you feel a little nervous, and that's okay. I want you to push through. Just saying that to everyone all at once can have a massive impact on their awareness of the situation. You can even go further of, hey, I'm putting you in a high stress environment here at practice, so in a game you're used to it. We don't acknowledge things like that verbally. And then we wonder why when the kids get in the big moments, they don't know how to handle it. Keeping in mind, a lot of adults can't handle it either, right? We like to think we can, all right? But that's something about it too. Here's another thing too, guys, I want to mention that we're talking a lot about the tactical, like what we're doing. We're living in a time where people are kind of being put in a position to choose left or right, up or down, pick one side. And the truth is that our species, and this is documented too, is not meant to operate that way. We are meant to work together in groups. Okay? Take that as far as you want in your mind. There is nothing quite like, we'll bring this back to hockey, seeing a young group of kids understand there's a collective mission and then buy into that together to accomplish a common goal. I always joke that, we joke about the Miracle team here, about how amazing that was. Well, that was a team that bought into a common goal, right? The 1980 Miracle team. Mm-hmm. It's a little miracle anytime a group of people can come together to accomplish a common goal. Again, hockey, work, whatever you want. This practice, I think, is directly rooted in creating that environment. And like you said, you both said it, you can do it for 7 weeks, right? If you just go to the gym for 7 weeks and work out your body, you're going to get very strong. And then at 7 weeks, if you just went, well, I did that for 7 weeks, we don't have to do it anymore, you're going to lose everything you got pretty quickly, about a month, right?
Yeah.
Your mind works exactly the same way. If you stop working out your mind, you will lose some of the strength that you've built up, right? It's a daily practice. I've gone as broad as saying one of the beauties of life is that you continue to work on this. Like, that's the cool thing. And you know what? You're never going to get as far as like whatever consciousness is, right? It's a continued practice. So I'm getting a little deep now. That's my fault. But just bringing this back to hockey. But it's so important that we practice this. Sorry, I'll shut up. Yeah, there's deep thoughts with Lee.
But it's the beauty. That's the beauty with the CBT as well. That you can do it during practice. You can do it in the dressing room. You can do it while you're sitting on the bus on the way to practice. I mean, reflection, perspective, talking with a friend. But the thing is with the program here in this case is that we try to do it systematic, and we have the support from the app to make it systematic and a little bit of fun as well. And then as we've been talking, like a summary of all the good things that have been said, is that if we can integrate that among the adults in around the teens, so we all start to look out for each other. I mean, it's important as me as a team, one of the players in the team or a coach. If I see one guy, he's always happy, smiling, joking, and then for a couple of days or a week or so, he's coming there and he's quiet and he changes his behavior. We should be aware of that and approach him and ask, hey, how are you doing? Is there something I can do? Or, I mean, just to be, build that sound and effective environment. And if you do that as well, if you talk about feelings, if you talk about goals, if you get to know each other, the fun thing is then, this is also why it's working with elite athletes. The fun thing, if you build this great environment, you can actually have higher demands on everyone in the group. Because I know you, Lee. I know you. I know what you feel, what you think, what your goals are, and I know that you know about me. And we have high goals together. And if you're not doing what we are actually talking about, then we have to find that reason to that. So that's why we can put more pressure, higher goals on each other in these environments. But instead of screaming and shouting and make people scared.
Right.
So it's a huge difference.
I'm smiling and laughing here because one of the things I always ask coaches, and you just made me think of this, Johan, is do you know what motivates each player? Do you know how each player is motivated? And they'll say to me, no, how do I do that? I go, you ask them how they're motivated. Just ask them. They'll most of the times they'll tell you, like, or more importantly, they'll say, I'm not motivated by this. Yeah. It's a simple question. Yeah. We don't ask. Here's a great question. Hey, what's your goal? What's your big goal? What's your big dream? Yeah. That's a great way to find out how someone's motivated.
Yeah. Fantastic.
It is that simple, right? It's just, well, how are you motivated? Yeah.
But then the problem is sorry, but the problem is then if you don't have the relation with that player, he won't tell you what he really feels, and then you're screwed. Sorry.
Well, it starts with trust. That's a great point. You do have to build trust with your athletes. I mean, we preach that here all the time. That look, trust is the most important thing to any group environment. If it's not there, none of this matters. And there's ways to build on that too. Listen. PlayWellMinds.com. First off, if you're not convinced by this point to check that out, I don't know what to do for you. But guys, I did want to ask you too. We talked about breathing. We talked about some of these tactics. Share with the audience again, like what are some of those other things that maybe they can look into, right? Either via your app or other things of coaches that want to get better, parents that want to get better, players that want to get better. What are some of the other baseline things that they can start with?
So I just want to mention one thing that the teens actually just love, which are so simple, but give so much value. And that is top 3 for today. So if you do top 3, so what was the top 3 for today? And you do that for a number of days, probably like, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, so somewhere around 5-6 weeks. It starts to really, really pay off and pay off from the perspective that teens comes back to us and say that, I had a really, really bad day. I was in my room in the evening and, I have the app and I want to do my top 3 today. then I realized that, I didn't think about 3 good things that happened today. And it might be small things. I actually thought about 6 or 7 good things that happened this really bad day because I was asked to do my top 3. So, wherever you are, if you are 8, 12, 85, just doing that simple exercise, write down 3 things that was, your top 3 today. That's, then I think we will have a different world if everyone does that. Because that's a simple thing that makes you feel a little bit better and sleep a little bit better. And be hopefully also a better coach, better parents, better player. So that's my number 1.
No, I love it, Henrik. I'd say too that, to the negative mind, right? Well, that doesn't. You have more positives than you think happen in a day, right? If I think it'd be very rare that you couldn't think of 3 things, like very rare, right?
Yeah.
That's a great tactic. I love that. I'm going to incorporate that to my team. Johan, you have one first.
Just real quick though, to add on that for a minute, just on that whole gratitude side of things. When I've talked to some of the athletes that have been through this, they're thinking about it like in the moment when they have something good, they go, "Oh, I'm going to remember that for later." Like it's amazing. It's amazing how they're like, "I don't have to write it down, but that was good. I'm going to remember that for later." And all of a sudden, you start building this bank of good things.
Yeah.
And then and I was laughing at my I tried my son to look at it, and I'm like, he goes, "Oh, can I table that for tomorrow? Because I might need that one for tomorrow." I go, "No, it's just today. But mimic it, do it again tomorrow, and we'll be good shape." But I love the fact that the kids are thinking about it when you give them something to be have gratitude for. They're thinking about it as the gratitude happens. They don't have to go back to it and say, "Man, what did I do today well?" And they know it as they're doing.
Yeah.
And the thing
Johan,
is,
what about your free advice?
Yeah, no, I have a 7-year-old here, and we are trying to ask him sometimes, "What's your top 3?" So now he's coming back, and during this practice, my top 3 was, and and he made that like, not every day, but regularly. So he's getting used to it, and he's just 7. And sometimes when he's sad, then you can just say, "Okay, do you remember your top 3 last training? Or do you remember your top 3 yesterday?" Yeah. And today it was quite okay at school, and then blah, blah. So it's working actually. But one thing that I acknowledged or have seen with teens working in the app is that they get their own space in the app. It's not public. Nobody can read it. And they can write whatever they want in the app. Nobody will know unless they tell somebody. So they will have their own free space for deeper thoughts or sad thoughts or happy thoughts and reflections. And I think we all need that sometimes. I mean, just sitting down without an iPad or something in front of you, and just have some time with yourself. Just being aware of your thoughts and feelings. And we've seen some evaluations from teens just writing that. It's fun. It's a great place to be. And then you can pick anything from there to go and talk to other people if you want to.
We had one teen saying that it was like download and reload.
Ooh, that's good. I like that a lot. Yeah, it's funny they chose those words because the 4 of us all grew up in a time where when we had nothing to do, there was nothing to do. Right. And we had to sit alone with our thoughts. Whereas, the whole, not just this generation, all of us, if we're bored, you pick up your phone and you have something there. And we're losing that ability to reflect. So I think that's great. Guys, I got to say this. So my top 3 for today, one was have a good show. And we did that. So that's a win. Mike's smiling. That's good. Everybody's happy here. But guys, that's the time we have. This is one of those conversations. We could do this for hours. But I want to thank you both for bringing your wisdom, bringing this to the forefront. The work you're doing is so important. Again, for the audience, PlayWellMinds.com. Just check it out. If anything, check it out. Coaches, parents, guys. I'll let you have any final thoughts before we go. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I just want to say, I mean, you started off with saying that, in 100 years, we will look back to this podcast and say that this is where it all started, amazing. I hope, and again, to be fair, it doesn't matter if it's us or someone else. If we just get this to work, if we can get mental fitness to be as normal and standard as any type of training, doesn't matter if it's school or sports, that's amazing. I just hope that will happen. And then if it's us or someone else doesn't care, the world will be a better place. So I really hope that people understand that it will actually be a good place to be in if you start to work with this in early age.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see as many mental training coaches as there are power skating coaches in the near future. It could be a great,
I'm hoping
great accomplishment.
When they have the documentaries about the primitive mind of the 21st century. 2 men discovered mental health was important. The documentaries of the future. Johan, anything before we finish up, my friend?
No, I'm just thinking why this is why I work with people and with this kind of stuff. I think I always learn something when I meet new people, and it was exciting and fun meeting you guys. I
amazing.
wrote down some quotes here from you and some good things that we can work with in the future, and I really enjoyed being part of this. So I'm happy as well.
Well,
Both Mike and I are happy, so we're two happy guys here.
That's what we do,
And that's tough. That's tough.
We joke that's the whole reason of the show, Mike. No, but listen, gentlemen, it's shared. I've got a page of notes here as well. And look, one of the beauties of podcasting in this show is that we've done over 400 episodes, it's over 400 conversations. And I would encourage all of you out there listening, have conversations with people. The education is insane. And you get to meet some really amazing people like Henrik and Johan here too as well. So that's going to do it for this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Remember, if you have a question for us, if you have a question for PlayWellMinds, anything, email us, team@ourkidsplayhockey.com. Or as always, there's a link accompanying this episode in the show description. If you tap that, you can actually text us a question. Just remember to leave your name and where you're writing from if you're inclined. But for Johan, for Henrik, for Mike, I'm Lee. It's been another great episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. We'll see you on the next one, everybody. Take care and skate on. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.